Hey, what's up guys? This is Really Bonfire back with an amazing tutorial. And this time I want to talk about the new simulation tools in Cinema 4D 2023, okay? And you can already see it here in my Cinema 4D scene in the background. I mean, it's not the background, it's just my screen. You can see that this is really reliable and fast, without penetrations, so the collider object, they don't just go through the cloth and the cloth doesn't explode all over the place. So it's just really stable and fast. It's a really reliable, usable tool now, because previously cloth in Cinema 4D was like, I think it was like a nightmare, okay? So it was barely usable. And now you can achieve amazing results that maybe previously you would have done in Houdini, all right? So I'm excited about that tool and the new capabilities. It opens up so much more creative space for me to use this tool and make, for example, like these ghosts of cloth with some super nice opacity here, so you can see these cubes underneath it and they are reacting with the cloth and it is twirling and twisting and bending and it doesn't explode. It's just stable and it just looks nice, okay? So I will show you in a minute how you can do that, but maybe back in my scene so you can see, just really simple. I used these elements here and I will share these ones with you. And these cubes, they are just some of these elements. You can see it here with a nice shader on it. They are some elements of a pack of elements that I built for my patrons, okay? So I will give you these beautiful cubes. I modeled all of these ones for my patrons. You can see when you put some nice shader on it, and that just looks lovely, okay? But anyway, you will find all of these ones on my Patreon. I already uploaded them, I think in summer, all right? But now I want to just share some of these elements with you for free, so we have something to play with. And yeah, maybe we will just do a same scene, or maybe we just slightly vary it. So yeah, I think overall, this intro was already too long, so let's just fire up a new scene, alright, and let's build something amazing. Alright guys, finally in Cinema 4D, and you can see this is the scene that I shared on Patreon with 100 different elements to play with, but for you guys I will have these ones for free, so I will just copy them, go over to a new scene and paste them, and I think I will just share this one as a link beneath the video, as a download link, alright? So now they are in my scene, and I think there's already an issue. So when I grab a plane, and you can see this plane is 4 by 4 meters, and maybe we just put like a little figure on top of it with 180 centimeters height. So you can see this would be like a good scaling, and this is not such a good scaling, okay? So I will select all of them, press T and scale them down maybe to 15%, all right? So that feels more reasonable to simulate, because the first important factor is scaling when you work with the simulation tools, okay? So it's not such a good idea to, for example, simulate something like that, okay? Because this is just huge. Even now, this will be still huge. So this is 40 by 40 meters, and the whole system will just react totally different if you have something like this or if you have something like this. I mean, this is still 4 by 4 meters, so this is still quite huge. Of course, you could even go for something like this, like a little napkin here. But I think for me, something in the scaling of a couple of meters worked quite good, okay? So for example, 4 by 2 meters, all right? So I just think this is a reasonable scaling, okay? And now let's just think what we want to do here, okay? So maybe before we put the tag on it and let it fall down, we should just select a couple of these elements. So for now, I think I want to use this one and maybe this one, okay? And the rest of them, for now, we'll just kill them, okay? Because I think when I press NB, you can see they are quite high resolution objects, all right? And I think before we want to work with them as a collider, we should at least optimize them a little bit. So for now, I will just click on this element, UW, to select the connected elements, and I think I will just get rid of this one. And this element I want to put into a remesher, all right? So I press Alt and select it. Now it is in a remesher, and this C remesher is just amazing. Okay, the mesh density 100, that doesn't change anything, so I think I want to put this one to maybe 20. Down here you can see the simulation is going on, it is remeshing, and now it has remeshed this little cross, and I think this looks good. All right, so I press C, this is remeshed. I will do the same thing again, hold down Alt, put it into a remesher, put this one to 20, and now this is way more usable. Okay, so we have these two elements here, right? And I will just move them over there. All right, and so let's think about what we want to do with these elements. So I would just scale this one a little bit up so it will be comparable to the other element. Okay, that's perfect. And I think we can just click on this plane here, and let's make a right click here, go to the tags, and of course it's in simulation tags, and I will just pin this one into my layout, and let's put where is it? The cloth tag on it. All right. So I think you will expect this one, it will just fall down. So I think we should just select these two elements and put some collider tag on it. Okay, so let's just see what will happen. And this is not so impressive because one other important factor is the resolution of your elements. Okay, so when you just put this one to 10 by 10, then of course there is just not so much of a possibility to fold this element. All right, so for example, when we put this one to 50 by 50, then this already looks way more complex. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's at least a start. Okay, so let's put this one to 100 by 100. And let me simulate this once again. All right, I press NA to get rid of the lines, and maybe just to see this one better, I will go to my materials and let's just put like maybe like a red on these crosses. And this will also help to see if the crosses will penetrate through the cloth, for example. Okay, but for now you already can see that this is quite stable, and honestly this would already take couple of minutes to simulate in the old cloth system. Okay, so it was really terrible, and the new one is just amazing. All right, so I think before we build something really cool, we need to talk about the simulation settings. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of these parameters. So again, I put the cloth onto my plane NB to show me the lines here. So I think first we want to talk about one of the main factors, which is the bendiness of your cloth. Okay, so I will click on the tag, go to surface, and there you can see the default value is 10. Let's just see it with this element, and maybe for now, sorry, let's increase this to 40 by 40 or even 50 by 50. So let's simulate this once more. It is falling down, and I think I already did this one in the previous recording. So put the font to 180 to get rid of all of these jagged edges. Okay, so let's keep it like this, NA to get rid of the lines. Let me see this once more. Okay, so you can see there's quite some bendiness, and we need to talk about different factors which will increase or decrease the bendiness of your cloth. Okay, so one factor would be the segments. If I put this one to 100 by 100, then obviously there are just more possibilities for the polygons to fold onto each other, and therefore you will get more wrinkles and more bendiness. Okay, let's even put this one to 200 by 200. And now you can see a lot of wrinkles here, but we get a little problem here. So you can see when I increase the resolution of my cloth thing, then the simulation will get more complex, and you could get errors with the collisions, for example. In that case, you would hold down Ctrl D, go to your simulation settings, and for examples, increase the substeps. So I could tell you something about all of these numbers, but for now I want to keep it a bit more simple. But as I said, when you put this one maybe to 30, then hopefully now the simulation will be stable again. Okay, so now the system is just taking longer. There are more iterations for your machine to calculate. Therefore, you will get less frames per second, but hopefully the simulation will be stable again. So you can see this is stable, and when I put it back to 20, then I guess we will have this penetration errors again. And there it goes. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If your simulation is getting too fast or too complex, then you will have to go into your simulation settings with Ctrl D, simulation, and increase these numbers. And as I said, maybe in another tutorial I will talk about these numbers more in detail, but for now, let's keep this really simple. And let's get back to the bendiness, okay? So when I press NB, you can see, wow, we have a lot of resolution in this one. And this is why we get a lot of bendiness. Just once again, as a little repetition, when I put it to 100 by 100, you lose bendiness. And when I put it to 10 by 10, then this will get pretty stiff, okay? So maybe this is something that you are going for. Then you could decrease these values, for example. I will keep this with a reasonable resolution for now, 50 by 50, okay? Once again, quite some bendiness, but now you could also decrease this value. So when you put this one to 0, then it is trying to get more stiff, okay? So it will still be smooth because we have some good resolution here, but it is trying to not bend that much as previously. And when you put this one to 1000, then this should be bendy again, okay? So all in all, I just want to say the bendiness of your cloth, which is the most important factor, I would say, depends on the bendiness and the resolution of your segments, and Control D at the substeps, okay? Now, did I show this? So when you put the substeps to 100, then this will be also stiffer than with 10. I think I already repeat myself, right? Okay, so let's put this one back to a default value. Let's go back into our cloth tag, and maybe something else that is quite interesting and is just another important factor for your cloth is the stretchiness, okay? So stretchiness will calculate how big these polygons can stretch, okay? So maybe this polygon will end here for now, but when it is getting into a turbulence and a gravity, then this polygon will get as long as this one, for example, okay? So let me just show you. Now the cloth will barely hit the floor here. Okay, it will end somewhere here, but when I will go here and decrease the bendiness maybe to 10 for now, let's see how this will look. And maybe on the plane I will also put a collider, not a t-shirt, not a cloth tag, but only a collider. So this will collide with the floor. Okay, now it is almost touching the floor. Let's put this one to 100. Okay, and let's see. Okay, and there you can see. Now this is getting stretched quite a lot here until it is hitting the floor. Okay, so if you want to give your cloth something like a rubber textile, then this will be the right number. And you can see you can go really crazy, but then these polygons, they will get stretched so far until it doesn't look natural anymore. So keep this one at 50 maybe. But of course, this is just depending on what you are aiming for. Okay, so I will keep this one at 10. Okay, the bounciness, that would be how your plane will bounce from the floor. Okay, this is not so important in our case. The friction is when it is falling on this one, how much energy will be when it is colliding, and yeah, how much friction. It will just behave, it will just change the, I almost wanted to say it's like a little stickiness, but it's a bit different, okay? Stickiness is really like a glue. Let's put this one to 10, for example. And now you can see the plane is sticky and it is just sticking to itself, okay? So yeah, so now there is no escape for these crosses anymore. So this is stickiness, and friction is just collision energy, how, yeah, I think yeah, man, I just can't explain it in good English. I'm sorry, but you just can play with this one. The thickness, all right, this is the last important parameter. This should be just how thick the calculation for this plane will be, and yeah, just the space between the collider element and your cloth. So when I put this one to 10, then there will be just a bigger margin between the object as a collider and your plane. So this is something that you need to adjust to get your cloth coming closer to your object, okay? And to make it more realistic, if you just want to move it over here and it is colliding, now you can see there is barely a margin anymore. But when I put this one, yeah, I'm repeating myself, but when I put it to 3, then there's a lot of space between it. And you have to adjust this thickness depending on your cloth surface. So when I put the plane into the cloth surface, then first you can add subdivisions, but you can also give this one a thickness, okay? So you could also give the negative thickness, I guess. All right, so something like minus 1.5, okay? So now it almost looks like it is touching the element. Okay, so the thickness that you will set up in this one looks like it is just half of this one. Okay, so yeah. All right, and one last thing. Sorry, this tutorial is getting longer than expected, but yeah, the target length, this is something really cool. So the best idea would be to keyframe this one, but you can also put this one to 200. And now you can see your plane is getting bigger. So this is just the value or the length of these polygon lines here, okay? And when you put this one to 200, then it will just stretch until the double size of the polygon, okay? And this is how you can, yeah, just animate really cool stuff, okay? And when you just put it like this, then it will pop into the state. And that's why it would be a better idea to keyframe this from 100 to 150. And then it will gradually scale up. All right, so cool stuff here. Let's kill this keyframe. And yeah, I think overall, these are the most important settings. And I probably will do some more in-depth tutorials on soft bodies, cloth. I mean, there is so much to talk about. Balloons, soft body, mixed animation, plastic deformation, really a lot of cool stuff. But for now, let's keep it simple and just animate something here. So you will see this in every simulation tutorial. A plane is falling on something and there you go. But we want to make this a bit more interesting. So let's say we don't just let it fall on something that is static, but this will also animate. Okay, so I think I just go to this element and let's right click on it and put a vibrate tag on it. And what do we want to animate here? I think we want to animate a position, and I think we want to animate it in the y-axis. Let's just see. All right, so this is already interesting. I think the amplitude is too high, so I put this one to 100 and I put it to 1, the frequency. Just make it slower. All right, and now we have some random animation, which will hopefully interact in an interesting way with our plane, okay, with our cloth. So I will also give it some rotation. Let's put some rotation here. All right, no, that's the wrong axis. I want to put it onto this axis. Let's put it to 0.5. And for now, I will just deactivate the tag here, because you can see even when we disable it from the viewport, this is getting a bit slower here. So that's why you just deactivate it. And now you are back to full speed here while you are setting up these animations. Okay, so this is looking interesting. It's quite fast. So I will just put this one to 0.5 and maybe 0.4. All right, so I think this is cool. Let's click on the other element. I will just copy the tag here and give it a different seed. Let's just see how this will look. All right, so yeah, that's interesting. NA to get rid of the lines. I think that's just more beautiful. All right, so we have these two elements. I would just select them, hold down Control, duplicate them, move them over here. Let's just see this. I will also go to the tag and change the seed here, something like this. Now I select all of them, Control D, let's duplicate them once more. I will just put them over here. And once again, I will change the seed numbers to some arbitrary numbers. All right, now we have these beautiful elements here doing their thing. Okay, so this is cool. So I think this could be interesting to just let this plane fall onto these elements. And I think I want to get rid of this just to make it more beautiful here. Let's increase the plane and B to show me the grid again. So put this one to 600 by 400 and then number of segments like this for now will be good enough. So let this one fall down. Okay, interesting. We have a lot of penetrations here. Let me see this once again. We have a lot of penetrations here. Okay, I don't like that. So Control D, let's go to simulation, put the substeps to 30. Now this is better. But, whoa, honestly, I'm surprised how many collisions we have here. All right, so maybe we need to give this one more subdivisions. Let's see. Okay, it is better. But I just think that this is falling really fast, okay? Because, yeah, it's quite huge. We have a lot of gravity and it is falling quite fast. So Control D to go into the simulation settings. And I think I want to give this a bit more dampening. This will make it more elegant, more smooth. And I think when you put this one really high, then it will feel like underwater or something like that. So I think this is already sucking out some of the energy out of our scene. And we have less collisions. But I think we also can decrease the gravity here. So I think that's just too much. let's do it like this. And now you can see that we don't have so much penetrations again. All right, what is happening here? Let's just go into it. Oh, I'm sorry. We still have the stickiness active. So we don't want the cloth to stick to itself. So let's just get rid of the stickiness. All right, and I think this is already giving us some beautiful behavior here. All right, I really like it. What else could we do? I think it's too small. Let's make it bigger. Let's move it down a little bit. Okay, something like that. Yeah, I think we need more planes here. Okay, so for now I will move the plane out of the cloth surface and let's hold down Alt and put it into a cloner. All right, and let's put this one to linear and let's say 3 is enough. And I want to rotate them just a bit here, okay? NB to see the lines again. All right, let's just see how this will look. Okay, little gotcha here. You have to move the tag onto the cloner, okay? Let me see this once again. And everything is falling down. So graceful, so beautiful. We have some penetrations here, so I think we still have to go up the sub steps. But for now, this is still running reasonably fast. And we have some nice animation here, okay? Just look at this one. So much cool stuff here. Okay, so I think we can go up with the numbers here. So if this is 600 by 600, I would say something like 200 by 200. This will already be quite dense and will give us a lot of folding, a lot of beautiful wrinkles. So for now, I will just keep it a bit more simple. Let's put it to 150 by 150. And you can see the simulation is still pretty fast. Just giving more keyframes here. Let this one simulate. It is falling onto our crosses. We get a lot of beautiful wrinkles, nice stuff. And yeah, this is just amazing. Okay, so this was previously just not possible to build that stuff in Cinema 4D. It was just too slow. But now we have all of these possibilities to build cool cloth scenes. All right. Some really nice interactions. This is looking amazing. And now let me think about how we can make this even more great, okay? Honestly, I think all in all, we just have to increase the numbers, give this one even more segments that you get more folding in our cloth. And maybe we should also tweak the bendiness here. Okay, it's already at 50, so this is high enough, so we will get a lot of wrinkles. Maybe one last thing that we could add to our scene. We always need some turbulence, right? So just to show you the turbulence, let's quickly deactivate the cloner here, Control D to get rid of the gravity. So now I think there shouldn't happen anything. Okay, we just have our cloth plane, and of course you would need to put the cloth tag onto the cloth. Okay, and now let's just go to simulate forces and let's put some turbulence into the scene. I think you were all waiting for that magic moment. I'm not sure why I put it on the end. So now you can see the turbulence is doing nothing. That was not so impressive, but when I increase the strength, then hopefully we will get some turbulence here. Okay, this is some really ugly turbulence, so let's increase the scaling. All right, maybe put it to 40. And now just look at these beautiful wrinkles. You get all of these nice cloth behavior here. Let's decrease the strength, also the scale, and you would have something like that. Okay, you could just animate this just like that. Just put the cloner into play again, put the cloth onto it. Now you would have some turbulent cloth planes here. All right, this would already be interesting. Control D, but I want to add the gravity back into the scene. So -400, now we have the gravity, we have additional turbulence, and we have the interaction with our collider elements. Okay, so you get all of these extra folds here, and I think this will just look amazing. Okay, so one last thing that I will do before we cache it. So I think I want to put this one maybe to 250 by 250. All right, this is quite dense already. And now we will just click on to our t-shirt, go to the cache and calculate the cache. All right, so that calculated for about 5 minutes, I guess. But I have a decent, strong machine. Okay, and man, you can see how beautiful this is. I really love it. Okay, so this is so cool. Okay, now the cloth is falling down. They just wanted to get rid of this cloth, these little cubes, these little crosses. They just want to be free and throw away this cloth. Okay, so this is really funny. Look at this beautiful movement. And just one last time here. Oh man, I really love it. Okay, so much possibilities. I mean, this is quite a simple setup and I just wanted to show you what you can do. But yeah, it's really cool. And now let's just hold on this frame, for example. And once again, let's put the cloner into the cloth surface. Let's activate it, give it some thickness. And I think this is maybe too thick. So in my case, I go with a negative thickness, but I think it would be better to go in a positive thickness, to be honest. I just wanted to get rid of the margin between colliders and the cloth. But anyway, yeah, let's put this one to 1. Now we get some beautiful thickness here. And maybe on top, we could also select this one, hold down Alt and put it into a subdivision surface. And now this should get more smooth, but it still looks a bit unsmooth here. All right, so I think this is because in the cloth surface we also have a subdivision, so let's kill this one and hopefully now this will overall be way more smooth. Okay, so I just use the cloth surface for the thickness and the subdivision surface for an overall smoothing factor here. So when I deactivate it once again, then you can see these jagged edges. But with the subdivision surface, yeah, that looks amazing. So I think it is time to come to an end here. I just want to show you my renderings again. So you can see I just put a beautiful material on the cloth and set up some simple lighting. And I think I will just put this one into a bonus lesson on my Patreon. It's really simple. You just have to use a material with a nice normal map, which will replicate like the weaving pattern of some fabric to get these lines here. All right, these beautiful normal details. And then you will set up some beautiful lighting. Okay, but I think you guys know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, I will share this one on my Patreon. But for now, let's just say the new cloth tools in Cinema 4D 2023 are amazing, and I hope you will do something really creative and awesome with it. Thank you so much for your time. Think about my Patreon to support me and ring the bell here on YouTube. Thank you so much. Bye everyone. Have a nice day.